$5,000 for proving the Earth is a globe. October, 1931. By J. Earl Miller. Post and Getty didn't fly around the world. According to Wilbur Glenn Voliva, they merely flew in a circle around the North Pole. This article presents Voliva's theory of a flat world, and tells you how you can win his offer of $5,000 for proving that he is wrong. Would you like to earn $5,000? If you can prove that the world is a sphere, floating in space, turning on its own axis, revolving around the sun, you can earn a prize of that amount. Such a prize has been posted for years. Offered by Wilbur Glenn Voliva, General Overseer of Zion, Illinois, home of the Christian Catholic Apostolic Church, founded some 30 years ago by the late John Alexander Dowie. Many have tried to claim the $5,000 and all have failed. The catch is that your proof must not start with the assumption that the world is round, or rather a globe. For Voliva believes the world is round, but a round, flat disk rather than a sphere. Without that basic premise that the Earth is spherical, no one has found an absolutely convincing proof that Voliva is wrong. When he describes his disc-shaped world, firmly planted on its foundations, surrounded by a wall of ice to keep mariners from falling off the edge, and surmounted by a crystal dome, in which the stars are hung like chandeliers to light the night. Nor can you submit proof to absolutely disprove the belief of Voliva that the sun, instead of being an 800,000-mile ball of fire, more than 90 millions of miles away, is really a fairly insignificant affair, only some 27 to 30 miles in diameter, and about 3,000 miles above the Earth. Or that the sun and moon move in orbits while the Earth stands still. That the moon is about the same size as the sun and the same distance from the Earth, shines by its own light, and moves in much the same orbit as the sun. In these days of 100 and 200-inch telescopes, accurate measurement of the speed of light and the diameter of distant stars, any challenge of the correctness of the familiar Pythagorean, Copernican, Newtonian system of astronomy may come as a shock. Actually, the belief that the world is flat isn't confined to Zion. China, which had workable systems of astronomy as soon if not sooner than Greece or Egypt, continues to stick to the flat world theory. And thousands of other people scattered over the globe have this, or theories even more unusual. Ever hear of Orlando Ferguson? Ferguson, a resident of Hot Springs, South Dakota, designed a weird and wonderful map back in 1893, which showed a square world, with an angel seated on each of the four corners. The inhabitable or known world was not, however, flat. The central section, comprising what we know as the northern hemisphere, was convex, curving downward from the central North Pole to the equator, while the southern hemisphere was concave, curving upward from the equator to the rim. The shape was much like a soup plate with a raised center. Then there is Gustav F. Ebning, of Cleveland, who recently published a book to prove that the world is a hollow sphere, and that we live inside it instead of on the outside. The so-called Gershon theory of Koresh, and Professor U.G. Merrow. Then there is the theory of Marshall B. Gardner, that the Earth is a sphere with the inhabitants living on the outside, but that the sphere is hollow. Variations of the Gardner theory have been used often by fiction writers, who have peopled the inside with strange races and hung up a small sun in the center to illuminate it. Compared to some of these ideas, atheistic astronomy, or the flat world theory of Voliva and his followers at Zion, has considerable to commend it. The three commonest proofs that the Earth is a sphere were cited by Aristotle in ancient Greece, 1800 years before Columbus sold the world on the spherical theory, and they are still in use. The mass of the people did not really begin to believe that their world was a globe until the Earth had been circumnavigated. Actually, that was not as good a proof as any of the three cited by Aristotle. For it is possible to circumnavigate Voliva's flat world, traveling either east or west, and come back to the starting point. Aristotle's three proofs were: first, the disappearance of a ship as it sails over the horizon, the hull vanishing first, and the masts and rigging last, and the reappearance of an approaching ship in reverse order. Second, the curving shape of the Earth's shadow on the moon during an eclipse. Third, the changing aspect of the heavens in different latitudes, some stars disappearing and others appearing, as the polar star in the northern hemisphere and the southern cross south of the equator. There is not a scintilla of truth in any of them. Voliva retorts.